Today, guys, I want to talk to you guys about the bench press. When we're bench pressing for the games or how we bench press in the garage when we're working on max effort strength, we actually want to do a few things that might be contradictory to how you bench press in the past. So one of the things that we're seeing, and typically with women, but also with a lot of guys, is we're seeing the hand grip. So that's where we want to start today. So if Nikki takes that more narrow hand grip, right? I'm going to call this narrow, which some people would think just outside the shoulder blades is where they set up. The reason we want to avoid this on our max effort strength days is because if I was Nikki and I'm in that narrow grip, what I'm doing here is I'm extending my range of motion. Also, that positioning, without getting too technical into it, is going to be using a lot of the smaller muscle groups. Those muscle groups are really great for higher reps on low on speed reps, things like that, but they're not going to be great for delivering the most power. When I open up her grip, so we get her out, for her it's going to be somewhere around these rings. She's going to use that knurling to measure. For me, for a lot of men, kind of a rule of thumb is going to be the finger on that first ring on the knurling. For Nikki, she used her thumbs. She went off that center of the bar, and that's how she measured. She's now getting out to like a good, almost like an A-frame, if you imagine her body is the base of that, or a V. Okay, now what that's going to do is that's going to incorporate the bigger muscle groups. Okay, the large muscles in her back, the large muscles in her pecs, the head of the tricep. We're going to give her a mechanical advantage. Also, you're going to see when we go to the side view, it's going to allow for a very straight bar path. Whereas if I'm in a narrow group, I'm going to be more likely to press up and fade up towards my face, which is just not going to be as safe. So we're trying to put her in a mechanical advantage. We're trying to get the big muscle groups so that we can hit those big, heavy reps. Remember, this is going to feel weird at first, but I promise you, taking one step back will get you 2 steps forward. Give it a shot. Now I'm going to go to the setup. All right, now we're going to talk about the setup. If the setup is strong, then we can kind of diagnose the weaknesses in the lift. If the setup is weak, we won't know where you actually went wrong because you're losing energy because of a crappy or a bad setup. So this is how we do it here. This is a way, not the way, but it's been very, very effective for myself personally, as well as other lifters in the conjugate tactical system and at the garage gym. So what Nikki's done is we have this bench set up basically with the pegs and the legs in between the rig. She's going to lay back. We have this thing set up on bands just to give a little bit of tension for her today so she can demonstrate a little bit more properly, but the setup for the bands and the weights would be the same. So one thing you'll notice what Nikki is doing, we're going to have her do, is she's actually starting with her head, kind of the knuckle in the back of your head, just behind the ears, is where she's going to set up actually off of that bench. We're going to get her to now take her ankles and put them underneath her knees. So she's already kind of tension. Obviously, Nikki's more mobile than me, so this is going to look a little bit different for everybody. Now, before she sets up, a lot of times it's in bands, so a lot of times you'll find the bar is at the back of those hooks. We're going to first thing do is roll it to the front of the hooks. Very important so that she doesn't hit the hooks on the way up. And this is going to put her in the right spacing. So she's going to leave her feet exactly where they are now, and she's going to bring her body forward, putting her eyes right underneath that bar. Now Nikki's in great tension. You'll notice that Nikki actually has a space here, but her bum and her hips are actually driving into that floor. There would not be that space in a body type like mine. That's kind of going to be towards the individual. She's got all-time attention to her quads. Like, this is rock hard right now. Probably Nikki's not going to want to stay here much longer because she is that tight. Because she's that tight, now when she takes that bar off the rack, breaks that thing in half, you can see she's already under tons and tons of tension. She's going to get it over in the midline of her body, and she's going to drive that thing up. As she descends, she increases that tension, creating the torque, breaking that bar in half. And then when she's in the bottom, she's really driving her heels into the floor. Now that bar is going straight up and down. It's coming to kind of a low sternum, but it's also going to be a very safe position for her to press in. That about covers it. I hope you enjoyed my technique.